The regenerative universe, the extraordinary comprehending intellect and integrity that's absolutely weightless is just, the only word is integrity. There's no other way to identify, because we're talking about the purely metaphysical. How would they happen to be then, this kind of life phenomena going on? And I began to, at the time I wrote Nine Chains of the Moon, I found myself writing, it's what I call the game of life, where I said the great integrity of the universe must want to test its own integrity. and whether it goes on, tests all the time or tests from time to time, that, so I in my book, I then said we have the great integrity tearing up all the cards. They'd all been beautifully organized, tearing up all the information cards and all the files in bits and can be put together again. And so I went through some diagramming at that time. So we had whole completeness, and using the circle for that diagram.
Here we go.
Thank you, dear friend. And so I said, well, we're going to have to take a little out of this perfection and let it loose. I'm going to have to break the circle. So we break the circle, and consequent of breaking the circle, this little section in an enormous circle looks like a straight line. Such a small arc of such an enormous circle looks absolutely straight. So there's a little straight little thing here, and it falls out, and the big show keeps getting away from it. So first it's this enormous thing, and then there's a little tiny thing in here. But then as it gets further and further away, the big thing looks smaller and it looks bigger, and it finally gets farther away, and it's going to be very big. It only knows itself, and finally, instead of being the little eye that you and I are familiar with, the dot over it, it's heck with the dot, and so it's just big eye. So we get to where it's just the big eye. And with any possibility, this big eye can never get back really together again. So fortunately, the big eye begins to realize it couldn't have anything about unless there was something to be aware of. So there has to it's very interesting that in for instance, in Russian language, go back to where you is two eyes. I find there's lots of indication of this being some kind of, well, in the thought that you and I are really the same, but there has to be you-I. And finally, the game is, can the universe get itself back together again? And I just say these things to you because I find this is a thought that I can't really get out of me, and I've gone on with it since 1937, the time of 1935 when I was writing it there. And when I was publishing Nine Chains of the Moon, my page proofs came back, and I did do several things. I don't know whether I told you about this, but I think it should be in our record here. I had felt very much that it must be explicable that humanity does have such vanity